Good morning, students. This is Miss Khyati Dwarkadas welcoming you to the third part of the Rise of Nationalism in Europe, a virtual class. Now, all of us know the story of the French Revolution of 1789, where the people revolted against monarchy and they wanted democracy. The major changes that were brought about during the French Revolution included transfer of power from monarchy to the common people, a new French tricolour flag was introduced, French became the national language, a new national anthem was composed and an oath taken by the people, a States General was elected by the common people and renamed the National Assembly. Internal custom duties were abolished. Mind you, this is not the Napoleonic Code. This is during the French Revolution. The Napoleonic Code you have seen in a previous video. The seventh point was the idea of nationalism was taken abroad not only to Europe but to other parts of the world by French armies. So what is the idea of a nation state? Where you have a common language, a common history, a common tradition, a common government with agreement of the people, which is not imposed on the people. Apparently, in the mid-18th century, around 1750, Europe did not have a nation state. So why was there no nation state? Because at that time in the Austria-Hungarian Empire, where you have Habsburg, there were three dominant languages, the French, the Italian, and the German. And if you have a three-language formula in domination, how would you possibly think of a nation state? Now, if you look at European society in those days, it was divided into three parts: aristocracy, peasantry, and the middle class. The aristocracy was the landowning class. It spoke French, had smaller groups, families were connected by marriage and were united in common ways of life. In the peasantry, majority population fell into this category and looked after the aristocratic land. Whereas the middle class composed of doctors, engineers, teachers, etc., lawyers. And the idea of liberal nationalism came in through the French people. So, what do we understand by liberal nationalism? It's simple. Freedom of the individual from monarchy, equality before law, the government with the agreement of the people, end of the autocratic rule and clerical privileges. That means the privileges given to the church must be brought to an end. The constitution and the representative government must be respected, just as we have a parliament in India. Thus, two ideas of the educated middle class came up. One was national unity and the other one was liberal nationalism. However, two problems also came up in the same time period. One, only men above the age of 21 were allowed to vote. And two, from state to state, there was trade restriction, and therefore these trade barriers proved to be a big problem. So now in 1831, a custom union was formed called Zollverein. Prussia, mind the spelling please, Prussia started. Many other German states joined the Zollverein later. Resultantly, the trade barrier was abolished and the number of currencies that existed were 30. So now the number of currencies reduced from 30 to only 2 currencies. So until we meet again in the next class, keep studying, keep revising, and have a nice day. Thank you.